Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. I've been really excited to color in this new book, Birds in the Forest by Denyse Klette. I really like the look of the oil pastel backgrounds that I've been doing in her Fairies in Dreamland book. And a lot of the pages in here are similar to the Fairies book with these kind of big open areas to color. Which is perfect when you are coloring with oil pastels. So that's usually how I begin picking a page, with open areas and not too many small details where I would have to maneuver around. All right. But I will show you how to get into those little tight areas with oil pastel. All right, so this page with the eggs is perfect for spring coloring. And since this video is mostly about the background, I went ahead and colored some of these other areas off camera. And I just used alcohol-based markers. These are the Ohuhu brand. But I did leave the bird for us to do together. And then I'll get out the color pencils. We'll do some color pencil shading. I'll do some on camera and then I'll do the rest off camera. And then we will get to the oil pastels. It's best if we wait till the end to do those because it can get a little messy. All right, so let me get the colors ready for the bird and let's finish the bird. All right, I also use a white and a blending tool just to help blend that out and highlight some of the areas I want lighter. All right, I'm going to add a little bit darker green or teal to the top of the eyes and also a shadow. This is a gray CG020, just to the very top part of the whites of the eye. And then darken a little bit of the eyelids and bags here. All right, I will slow it down for coloring the eggs. I had to pull a Holbein color pencil because I couldn't find a light enough shade in the Prisma set. So this will be my overall color, and then I'll shade with Prisma 1021 and 1017. For the slightly darker blue egg, I'll use a combination of this Prisma 1103 and the Holbein 228. All right, I'm also going to use a white too, and I'm actually going to start by adding the reflection point first. You can barely see it, but at least I can kind of see where I need to stop my regular coloring. All right, so taking that Holbein color and just shading in, going darker on the edges, and then getting lighter pressure as I go up to that white spot I created. And then taking the shadow, and I'm just coming over on that far left side, adding a shadow line. I'm going to smooth it out with white or a blender pencil after I get all these shadows in. All right, and then this is my darkest shadow, and it does have a slight purple hue to it, so that's kind of good because I have a lot of purple shadows like in the nest, and then obviously the purple in the bird, so that's going to help tie it all in. All right, now taking the white, adding heavy pressure where I want that reflection point, and then just kind of smoothing out all those other lines. I think that helps give just a nice little subtle shadow and roundness to the egg. All right, now for this egg, I used a slightly different blue for the alcohol-based marker. I wanted there to be just a little bit of variation between the eggs. So I'm going to use this more periwinkle blue color. Yeah, this is 1103, so I'm just going to really lightly add that color. And then again, add my little reflection point there. And then I'll take the green and kind of go over that, just so they kind of all look very similar, but there's just a slight variation between some of the eggs. After this one, I'll go ahead and finish the rest of the eggs off camera. Okay, now time for the background. I'm using the Mungyo Gallery Artist Soft Oil Pastels. These are super creamy and very easy to spread around. The three colors I'm using are going to be malachite, a nice dark green with some blue in it, some grass green, and a yellow green. All right, and just make sure you have some Kleenex or paper towels around, because it is very easy to get stuff on your fingers without realizing it, and then getting fingerprints on areas you don't want fingerprints. So I always have a paper towel kind of set aside, and just kind of have to be conscious of where my fingers are going to. All right, so I'm going to start with the darker malachite green, and I'm going to go around the edges. Now, these do not have sharp points. Like when they're brand new, they have a nice edge to them, but it's still hard to kind of judge and get right up next to the line. So I get up really close to the edge, and then later on I'll show you how we can push that color up right up to the edge. All right, so yeah, I'm just going to create this darker line around the top of, or the bottom of these leaves towards the top of the page. All right, moving on to that grass green color and just filling in some more of the space. I want more of the highlight kind of around the back of the eggs. So now this is that yellow green, so this will be more of a highlight color, hoping to draw your eye more into the center of the page. And you can mix a little of these where the two colors meet, but I find it that they don't really mix that well once the colors are on top of each other. So if they're right next to each other, then they blend really nicely. All right, so now I'm gonna just use my finger and rub with kind of hard pressure. And again, getting close to the line, but trying not to go past the line. And just starting with that lighter color, smudging it into the medium green, working my way up. And then I have to clean my finger off before I, get into that lighter color again. Otherwise, it will just have more of that medium green. And work it in there. And now working it into the darker green. All right, so the tools I'll be using to help push that color right up to the line or into tight areas are these blending stumps or blending tortillas, I think they were called. I got those at Michael's. And you can also use Gamsol and like a small painter's brush. All right, so I'm going to take the blending stump and then I'm going to start with my lightest color here, and I'm just going to kind of scratch off a little bit of the oil pastel. And then I can use it just as if it were like a pencil or a pen and rub that color right up next to the line. Another way is taking a small brush and some Gamsol. You do not need much of the Gamsol, and I'm just going to pour a few drops in my little shot glass here. And then you just dip the brush in, and then I wipe most of the Gamsol off, so the brush is like damp. And then you can just push the color where you want it to go. Now, this is the method I had been using, but as you can see, it does change the opacity and makes it a little lighter. This would be good if you're doing like a glow effect around certain objects. And I also found that you can match like Prismacolor pencils and help darken or fill in areas as needed. All right, I'll go ahead and finish off camera. All right, there it is. I like it because it's fast and it's bold. Pretty easy to do as long as you have those open spaces. And then once this is all done, I will give it a good spray of a fixative to set those oil pastels. Okay, now just some finishing touches with a white Posca pen to add highlights. All right, and then this is a light blue paint pen, and I'm just going to cover up the black line, and that's just going to highlight this purple branch. Oh, and I did take a darker purple, kind of a bluish purple marker, and added more of a shadow underneath the nest. Okay, all finished with my first page in Birds in the Forest. I think the green background makes all the colors pop. I love how the eggs turned out, and I like the balance of color with the light blue flowers on top with the eggs. I think that looks good. And of course, the expression on this bird is so funny. He's like, when are these babies gonna come out? I am tired of sitting up here. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you soon.